last week, Labour, TUC, NLC came together, a joint statement, and said they will go on strike, the mother of all strike, the way they put it, and it's going to be an indefinite strike. However, over the weekend, we saw the federal government, swing into action, and the federal government decided to put some things on the table for Labour. Remember the last time we spoke to Labour, was it the NLC, was it TUC? I cannot remember. But, Labour told us that the reason that they decided to threaten with a, strike is because the federal government had not said anything tangible and asked them to be patient, and they were not going to use patience to do anything because things were very costly in the market, and the palliatives given was not and still is not enough. So they have decided to go on strike, and then they say they made certain demands. They asked for living wage, they asked for CNG buses, they asked for refineries to be fixed, and while they're waiting for the refineries to be fixed, certain things should be put in place. Now, I've gone through the statement of the federal government, but the Independence Day speech, was it? Yeah. And then, Femi Gbajabiamila, the, chief of staff, coming out to say some other things. I've looked at all of these things and I'm wondering, which way Nigeria? That's the question I have in my head, and I'm hoping by the end of this conversation I should have been able to answer that question, which way Nigeria. It's no longer news that May 29 the federal government, the president himself, said subsidy is gone. And ever since that, we have gone through certain economic upheaval. We've gone through certain challenges up and down. And one of it has been inflation on a constant rise. Another has been, the Naira losing grounds against other currencies. And everything has resulted into high cost of living. So, yesterday, President Bola Tinubu approved 35,000 Naira provisional wage award. What that means, it's a short-term thing, given that for there to be a minimum wage increment, the legislative arm of government would have to be involved. It has to be a collective move between the executive and the legislative arm, and also the governors of the 36 states would also have to put their input, or have to have an input in that. Also the state houses of assembly, and they will all come to an agreement as to how much increment can be made. However, the federal government has decided to put the 35,000 naira increment. That means 35,000 naira will be added to the minimum wage, which is 30,000 thereabout now, and it will be paid to federal government workers for 6 months. Now, I need you to underline that: federal government workers for 6 months. According to the report before me, this decision follows further consultations with the federal government delegation that met with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress earlier on Sunday. Now, in a statement by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, the federal government urged the labour unions not to embark on strike, as the issues in dispute can only be resolved when workers are at work. The statement said a subcommittee would be constituted to work out the details of implementation of all items regarding government interventions to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. Also, the president yesterday announced that CNG buses to aid transportation will be made available shortly. Procurement issues delayed, the reeling out of these CNG buses, but very soon. And when the CNG buses are reeled out, it will reduce the cost of transportation. And Labour has been asked to sheet their swords so that the economy is not worsened by an indefinite strike. What are your thoughts on this? Now, Labour has argued, they've argued with the federal government. The federal government has now listened to Labour and has decided to do a minimum wage increment. But I'm wondering if the state governors will key into this increment, this short-term increment, this provisional minimum wage increment, even though Femi Gbedabamila came out and said that it's not just for people at the lower cadre, that every worker of the federal government, every worker working for the federal government will, be a part of this increment. One, I'm wondering how it will affect the finances of the government, because the government before did say that they don't have enough money, and I remember the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu saying that when he looks at the wage bill of the federal government, his heart beats faster. Let me put it that way. His heart beats faster. So I'm wondering what it will impact on the wage bill of the federal government. Also, I'm wondering if the state governors can pay an increment right about now. Some states are yet to fully implement the minimum wage of 30,000 naira thereabouts. I'm wondering if they will be able to pay 65,000 naira as minimum wage. Thirdly, for those of us not working in government or for government or in the civil service or for the civil service, I wonder how we will get by, because the petrol subsidy removal effect are not just for people working for government. It affects you, affects me, affects my colleague Constance and Martha and every other person, because we also have to pay transportation. We also have to go to the market. We also have to buy, from Mile 1, from Rumokoro, from Choba, from any of the markets, oil mill market. We go to all of these markets. We're humans like you. And I'm wondering, for people like you and I who are not working for the civil service, how are we going to get by? How does it affect us, really? I want to really know that. How does it affect us? And thirdly, the third angle I'm looking at it from is, does this really solve the problem? Because when you look at how much the naira is to the dollar, some say is 1,000 plus naira now to a dollar. You look at the price of tomato. Do you think 65,000 naira for minimum wage is good enough, is great enough? Should it be 100,000? Should it be 200,000, given our current economic reality? But for those of you who are very savvy with economics, right, you're very intelligent when it comes to economics, I want to throw a question to you. How does this affect the inflation of Nigeria, given some say it is way beyond the 25% mark that the Bureau of Statistics have put it? It could be way more according to the arguments. But given our current, inflation rate, should we be talking about a salary increment, or should we be talking about local production, how to boost local production, how to ensure that we make our naira buoyant? Because if I'm earning 30,000 naira and the naira is buoyant, I will be able to pay for a lot of things. I mean, it will first of all reduce the cost of living, and I will be able to pay for a lot of things. So I'm gonna start taking calls so that I can also go back and try contacting the Labour leader so we can talk to him and get insight, because I'm wondering, Rivers State particularly, will the governor Siminalayi Fubara key into this move by the federal government? Yet again, the promise by the federal government is for federal government workers alone. Interesting there. 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. Those are the call numbers. Call me, I will answer, and we will talk to development. Remember, there is a call screener. She will take your call. Kailash is a nice person to drop your name, your location, and then she'll patch you through to the studio, and I'll take your contribution. For WhatsApp, 0809-030-6416. I've got Samuel, and Samuel is calling from Rumukalagbo. Samuel, greetings to you. Welcome on the show.
Good afternoon, Canada.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
I was listening to you. I want to say something. The labor union saying that they are fighting for, I don't know, for workers or for Nigeria. I don't know the one they are fighting for, whether it's for their state or for Nigeria. I don't know the one they are fighting for. And now, another thing again, for the present broadcast on first also, saying that approved minimum wage or increment for civil servants only for federal. What about the state? What about those labor union in the state? The chairman in the state? What about other workers, the civil servants in all the states? So which of the labor union are you fighting for? Is it for the only for federal?
All right.
So that's my question. Because I don't know the one labor is fighting for, or if they are fighting for only for the ones in the federal. They are asking what about the one in the state?
All right then. All right.
I don't know civil servants.
Okay, Samuel.
That's my question. Thank you.
Samuel, thank you. First correction: it's not a minimum wage per se increment. It's a wage increase that is not what's the word now? That is not cast in stone. It's just a temporary, solution for the now. And after I think we'll go back to, or maybe by then they would have been able to discuss this at the legislative arm of government. But then again, you raised a valid question there, and that is, what do we do at the state level? And looking at these promises, the question in my head yet again is, should they call off the strike that they plan to hold tomorrow? Clinton is calling from Bori. Clinton, welcome.
Sorry.
Yeah, Clinton.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Quickly, we've got a commercial, so let's.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome back.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, Labour, I've said before, Labour are self-centered people. And when you clamor for something, you should also look at the overall aftermath effect of what you're demanding for.
All right.
Now they're demanding for an increased minimum wage. That was the focal demand that they made. Now the federal government have been to their demands down by increasing minimum wage by 5,000 naira. And now the minimum wage increase does not come for all the workers. That's one thing, because it's for federal workers. What happened to the state workers? Those workers that are working in the state government, the local government workers, those ones have not been factored. And now, market traders that we hear the wages of civil servants have been increased. They will not know that only a section of the civil servants have been increased.
Clinton, sorry.
They will not increase the price of commodities in the market.
I would have to ask you to call back. I'm sorry, a commercial break is up next.
Come with me. Bask in freedom. There are no deadlines here. Hurry so you can take your time. The sunset from above. A visual buffet. Pictures capture moments. 100 conversations don't exhaust.
29 minutes gone past the hour of 4. Welcome back. And yes, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Hot Factor 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kalada Kuribatabo. So I'm really disappointed. I still cannot get through to my guest. I know you promised me, but possibly maybe they are in a meeting or something. As the week goes by, I probably will call him back and we'll have a conversation, because they are pressing questions I want to ask. How does this affect River State, or basically how does this impact River State? Well, the River State governor, maybe that's the meeting they are in. I do not know. I can't speak for them. I'm not their spokesman, but maybe. And I really wanted to ask questions, and I know you do too. And I really apologize that I could not get the guest on the show. But let's talk, you and I. I've asked some pertinent questions, and I've given you some of the facts. It's not a minimum wage increase per se. Is a short-term gap, a short-term measure. Labour is saying the country is hard. People are not being able to get by. Now, we know the people they have been talking about have just been the people working for government or the civil service, because that's also a fact. And so now the government has said, okay, pending when there will be a minimum wage review, which sometime in 2024, January, February, thereabout, the first quarter of 2024, let's do a 6 months wage increment. It's just for the now. It's not a permanent solution. It's just for the now. And 35,000 naira has been added to the minimum wage. So I guess there will be a consolidated adjustment to all of the level in the civil service, but it is at the federal government level, the civil service, the federal government, civil service. I'm wondering what the state governments will do. Will they buy in? Will they key in? If they don't key in, what will Labour do? Because Labour was going to go on strike, and the state chapters would have also joined on in that strike. That is, if Labour calls off the strike. We're still waiting to get the news. So when you look at all of these things, you want to ask the question: one, is 35,000 naira enough? When we talk increase, given inflation, given the high cost of living, basically, is 35,000 naira enough? Secondly, you and I, who are not working for the civil service, how do we get by? Because you and I go to the same market where things are expensive. We pay rent in the same Port Harcourt, or for those of you in different parts listening to me, wherever you are, you pay rent, right? You're feeling the brunt of the removal of petrol subsidy in Nigeria. Thirdly, is this a good enough reason to call off the strike? Will the governors pay? All of these issues, I'm wondering. 0817-923-0002 is the first call number. The second call number is 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp 0809-0306416. The salary increments, how does it affect the initial plan of NLC and TUC embarking on a strike? I don't think it does, if only the NLC are serious and committed to their legitimate responsibility. So under the conundrum of Mr. President, increasing the salary or minimum wage of workers is to buy over the conscience of the Labour Congress against its own masses. And if this is the case, then NLC and TUC should know that what that entails is just curing a disease while leaving the main cause of the disease. The problem will definitely resurface in a short period of time. NLC should avoid becoming the problem of this nation. Maxwell Ina from Port Harcourt. Maxwell, thank you very much. And this was his good afternoon. Are you expecting Labour to go on strike? You might have to wait for a long time, because it will not happen, and it will never happen. Cool. Thank you. I'm going to go back to Clinton. Clinton and I were talking before the commercial break. Clinton, welcome. What's on your mind, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, welcome.
So, like I was saying, the federal government is being put under serious pressure by Labour, and what they are doing now, they are reacting.
Okay.
And what is not doing is not doing well.
Okay.
If the federal government want to actually augment, as in for 6 months, as I said, for workers, they should be able to spread it across all the workers in Nigeria, not just one section of workers. I think that will create bias in the system. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Clinton. I've got Duke from Elena Ward. Duke, greetings. Welcome. After Duke, I've got Actor from Tumbia. Duke, let's listen to you.
So this increasing the minimum wage by 25% for 6 months is not going to work.
It's not going to work. Why do you think so? Let's get your knowledge on that. Why do you think it's not going to work?
Okay. So now, if we increase the minimum wage by 25% for 6 months, the sellers of this product would think that they have increased it outrageously or is very high now, and they will want to think that let them get their own share of the money. So they are going to also increase the price, thereby reducing what you can buy with the money. So it's not really going to improve anything.
But the president, did you listen to the president yesterday, Duke? The president said, don't worry, the increase will not affect, price of commodities in the market. You are going to increase it in a way that it will not affect pricing in other parts of the country.
Did the president tell us any form of measure like taking not to make it not increase in other parts?
For example, reducing transportation fare. So if they give you CNG buses, it means that you won't have to pay much moving from point A to point B. Is that going to work now?
How many of those CNG buses are you saying?
No, they have not yet reeled out. They're going to reel out. They're going to bring it in the nearest future, maybe next month thereabout.
And when is this particular minimum wage increment coming?
Now, they just announced it. I do not know. Maybe they will have to pay this month. I don't know. I'm not working for government.
Okay. Well, that time, I don't think it will work.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much, Duke. Thank you. I've got Hector from Tombia. Hector, greetings. Welcome. What is on your mind?
No amount of money is enough.
No.
Amount of increment will be enough.
Okay.
Provided there is no price control, we do not have price control in this country.
Okay.
Look, increase the wages. And that's right to the government. The wage is a temporary measure. It's a temporary solution. When things get better, it means that it will stop. And only God knows when things will ever get better in this country. Only God knows. Even the government does not know when things will get better. And so it is not enough. Increase minimum wage from federal to state to local. So what about those people that does not have jobs? What about those people that are not working in the government? What about the businessmen? What about those in the agriculture? Look, there need to be we need to boost production in this country. We need to encourage production in this country, especially agriculture. Because increasing the money, the market woman will increase her own. It does not concern President Tinubu. President Tinubu, I don't think that he knows how much tomato is cost, the cost of tomato and the cost of barren in the market. The government does not know. So it is going to affect the implement come up with policies and programs, the generality will benefit, not some sectors of the society.
All right. Thank you very much, Hector. I've got Zion from GRA. Zion, good afternoon. Welcome.
This increment
Get your thoughts.
is a bad woman. See this increment of salaries? Those people that geared for it are people whose children are not here in Nigeria. People who own properties abroad, children's school abroad. They are only here working, making money.
Are you saying the civil servants don't have their children in?
Who do you call civil servant? If that person has a better job, he will not be a civil servant. If one IOC.
Hello, Zion. Are you there?
Now, when a family gets this show to that person will resign from that civil service to go join IOC. So their grand plan is to destroy this country. Asking for an increment is a problem because you like it or not, commodities in the market will skyrocket in price.
But think about it. Okay, now listen. Why would market prices skyrocket? It's going to be basically because cost of production is what is supposed to be the fundamental.
Are they producing house? Who will increase the house rent? Is it the government that will come and tell landlord to reduce the price? For what sake use our senses and talk? When the minimum wage was 18,000 naira, how much was the bag of rice? Was it not 7,500.
Okay.
They now say, no, give us increment. They increase it.
Oh, sorry about that. We lost connection with Zion. I've got Eric from Noah. Eric, greetings. Welcome. What is on your mind, please? Let's hear you.
Yeah, Kalada, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Eric. Welcome.
Yes. Kalada, I don't know what these politicians are up to. That you're going to increase the wages of civil servants, particularly the federal, for 6 months. What does that supposed to mean? I think there is people who don't have business to provide solution to the problem of the people should not have any need of seeking political power.
All right.
Okay, what is going to be the repercussion of after 6 months that the prices of commodities have been added because of the sensitivity of this
Eric. Now, I want to believe that after 6 months, both Labour, the federal government, the state governors, the legislative arm at the national and at the subnational levels would sit together and have this conversation like we did when we increased it from 18,000. So that's the possibility.
Okay. Why? Sorry, sir. Kalana, wait. Why can't they sit earlier?
No, because there is a law. Eric, I have explained this. There is a law. There is a law.
I thought you would listen to me. Let me.
No, I want to correct something. There is a law that says there is a particular time that you can increase the minimum wage. So it's just like you're working for a company and they say every 6 months you will get a wage review. So until that time, you can have a wage review.
So if that is the case, the plan is useless to me because it does not cut across to everybody.
Okay.
You understand? And now it is as if they should go back to their drawing board.
All right.
And look at these issues critically. It is not 25,000 naira that is the problem of Nigeria.
All right.
Nigerians needed a price control. And that the refineries should be working.
Okay.
So that the economy will strive in a right manner.
All right then.
And prices of goods will be moderated. And what about those that are not working? Who are relying on maybe farming or one of those small petty businesses?
Eric, I've got to let you go.
Those people grow.
Okay. I've got to
You see, these things are challenging people.
Okay.
Political office.
Oh my. I'm sorry we lost that connection. Not my fault, not from my end. I forgot to mention, and maybe because my guest didn't come, so I didn't really think about it. Another measure mentioned by the federal government is removing VAT on diesel. So for the next 6 months as well, VAT will no longer be on diesel. So there is the possibility that diesel price will come down. There is the possibility, like I said, I'm not sure. But if that happens, it means that production for a lot of companies will also reduce, because for a lot of these companies, skyrockets their production bill is the cost of diesel, because sometimes they have to run their generating sets for hours. But I've got Edwin. Edwin is calling from Rimouski. Edwin, sorry for keeping you for so long. Welcome on the show.
No problem, Canada. You're welcome. Good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon, it is. Welcome. What's on your mind, please?
Okay. Canada, my take on what I just come up is the federal government, did they not touch it twice? Did they not sit down as they used to do and go around it properly before they come up to make these statements they have made in Nigeria? As a president, when you want to say something, know that you're a president in Nigeria.
Okay.
You're a president to one particular group of people, one particular set of people. And you think your value, you think well, before you come up on to tell the people this and that. Now, it has grown argument. Now, this side are trying to, how would they manage? The other side is saying, how would they do? If you want to move 25%, you do 25% around the everywhere. Then if you want to remove it, now when you remove it, there will still be an issue. What are we talking about?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Canada, the government should go back and think properly.
All right.
what will benefit this Nigeria people? We are all the same people. We are all Nigerians. What will benefit? What will they put on this table? That everybody will smile.
All right,
everybody will be joyful.
All right.
It helps me, Canada. It will be better for all. Not one thing that will do. Everybody will be grumbling. People will be complaining. People will, there will be no joy anywhere. It's not in governance.
All right.
That is in governance.
All right, Edwin, I've got to go. All right. Edwin, I've got to go. Thank you for your time. Bernard from Rimouski. Bernard, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Yeah, thank you, Canada. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, the implement of the salary to federal civil servant. You see, when NS was charting a president to go strike, are they threatening for only federal workers alone? Are they threatening for government workers alone? This is not the sort of Nigeria they are threatening. Now, a federal government said that they will need 30,000 to the salary of the federal government workers. What happens to we that are not working? That money will be replaced one because as soon as they increase that 30,000, who is the landlord, is going to
Bernard. Bernard.
I will go to street. Yes, I'm hearing you.
No, I'm just laughing at the fact that you're going to increase salaries. I mean, house rent. Why would you increase house rent?
Okay, now when they increase this, when they add the 30,000, they add it to me. Then when the market will increase their product, is it not like me? So where will I survive? It's increase my own because since they are not after the people that are not working, then we will take care of ourselves.
All right.
Whenever you increase for workers, then we are also going to increase. There's no problem about that.
All right, then. All right. Thank you, Bernard. I've got to let you go. Time for me to read messages. I'm going to start with Facebook. Bishop Marine Services Limited on Facebook says, it will not come true. They are not. Okay, I think you're talking about my guest. Okay, I'm going to move on. Uregbu Chima on Facebook says, what will happen to workers on the state payroll? And that's why I said I wish my guest was here in the studio. Emmanuel Obuma says, what then happens to state workers, private firm workers, artisans, and those without job? Senseless decision. And by the way, I don't know, some people say 25% increment. It's not 25. Is it 25? I mean, it's 35,000 naira being added to 30,000 minimum wage. That's like 100+% increase, right? Except my mathematics is really, really, really bad. But Laifa Araka says, good evening, Kalada. Is it 25,000 increment or 35,000 increment? Araka from Other Judge, it was first 25 when the president announced, but when Femi Gbajabiamila was talking to the press, he said it was increased in a short time to 35,000 naira. So let's take a listen to Femi Gbajabiamila.
Based upon our talks with labor, business, and other stakeholders, we are introducing a provisional.
Okay, that was the president. I got my sounds mixed up, so I'm just going to let that one be. But Baba Saveti Oze says, what about those people that will not benefit from the 35,000? Are you sure the president is working with advisors, or he just wakes up from sleep and takes decision? Is it how we will make Nigeria better? Wachuku Njoko says the federal government should deploy macro strategy solutions so that everyone will benefit than this sectoral and micro approach that less than 3% of the population will benefit from. And by the way, I also forgot to mention, he also talked about increasing the number of people who will get is it 75 million? Is it 75 million now? I'm mixing up my facts, but I do know that the poorest of the poor are supposed to get certain amounts for the next 3 months, thereabout, 75,000 naira, thereabout. Yeah, I think so. And so he said he's going to increase the number of people, so that it goes round. But I'm wondering if that will help as well. This one says, good evening, Mr. Kalada, and welcome back. I'm not surprised the federal government have only federal government workers, the carrot. Are the private sector workers part of strong, willing labor unions? The aviation workers union doesn't even represent the pilots and hostesses and hosts. Instead, it is fan and air traffic controllers. So, apart from New Peng, Which other private workers' union can hold government on the jugular with their strike action? Besides, when private sector was increasing their prices and charges in response to the subsidy removal, did they consider or even consult with NLC or TUC? Bread prices increased in June and has increased again. Did they pity us? Now NLC and TUC have secured salary increase for members, the very people that pay them dues. Make of us rest. Text from Oibo with that one. Let's read some more messages on WhatsApp. Canada, why is the government worried about Labour going on strike? Is it not the same government that used 1 hour to calculate your unemployment rate? Can they, as part of their proposals to Labour, tell them to report to work 1 hour every day at current wage rate, and there wouldn't be any need for this recent wage hike? The numbers they brandished is haunting them. Oh, okay. Let's see. Good evening. My take is that government has not met the demands of Nigerians because what they said they are rolling out is just for federal workers and temporary. They should draw a blueprint that will solve the problem the general citizens are facing, not a selected few. The strike should go on. Calvin from Port Harcourt. Canada, the government proposal is indeed a way of saving NLC once again. For me, it will shut down as the ends. What they put on the table is not enough. The problem with our leaders is while solving existing problems, they create a bigger one. The government would have thought of it before removing the subsidy. If the government is sincere, they should slash their allowances and salaries by at least 35 to 40% to balance the demands of workers and Nigerians after they told us while campaigning that it came to better our lives. Akbar Ugochukwu from Port Harcourt. Let's take some more calls. I've got 5 more minutes to a commercial stop. And let's see, what does this message say? Lady V, it's obvious that the president is bereft of ideas to cope the hardship he has created by the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of naira. 5 billion per state for palliative and this 35,000 naira per federal civil servants and labor members. Put these money together will not fix refineries. I guess you said, will it not fix refineries that every Nigerian will benefit from? Does federal civil servants and labor members have a different market they buy things from? How many percentage of Nigerians are labor members? I know NLC, TUC are only agitating for their selfish gains. Okay, more messages. If NLC and TUC fail to embark on this strike just because of a 25,000 naira top-up, it's 35 actually, for them, then most Nigerians would take them as cowards, see them as they are not fighting for the poor masses and have failed in their leadership to compare when Oshomole was there as chairman. You're chicken out of the strike due to the 25,000 naira top-up. Then what of the poor masses that are not part of government work and who are a greater percentage of Nigerian citizenry? All right, reading more messages before I take a call. This one says non-government employees increased the cost of their goods and services immediately after the removal of subsidy. The government workers bore the brunt. That's a good argument. Salary currently 24,000. This you can investigation. Even the last increase in minimum wage, local government workers didn't get anything. God help us. And I didn't even factor local government workers into the conversation. All right. Let's read some more messages. Good afternoon, Canada. I expect Labour to cancel the strike order not necessarily because of the reason offer made by the federal government, but because the strike is ill-timed and clearly counterproductive. It does not take much to see that this government needs to be given 1 year at the minimum before we can really assess the success or otherwise of its policies. Any unbiased evaluation of the current situation will reveal that, like most of us, the current government is a victim and not the cause of our economic woes, and they are taking quite reasonable steps. If we are thinking long term, sadly Labour seems to be doing the bidding of an unseen but obvious hand. Or Chuku from Ubodu, Omawa. All right, let's take Christian's call, and he's calling from Bonny Island. Christian, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Yeah, good afternoon, Canada.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Yes, honestly, to be candid with you, I don't think that is the solution to the problem of this country. To me, I think most of them, they lack ideas. They don't even know what to do about this country. I thought, our so-called, fathers of the nation, they are too old to decide for the youth of this country. I listened to most of his speech. There was no strength in his voice. as a president, I expected them as leaders, they sit back, give the opportunity to the young ones to decide their future. In this another few years, most of them will be no more.
All right.
Let youths decide their future. They just sit back as advisors.
All right.
People like Tinubu, Basanjo, Buhari should sit back and advise the youth.
All right.
I don't think these people, they are shameless.
Let's not Christian, let's not do that.
And give the opportunity
All right.
to the young ones to decide their fate.
All right. Thank you, Christian.
It will have been better.
I've got to go now. It's time for a commercial break. When I come back, I'll read some messages that are leftover messages. To stay tuned.
Get in on the action with Betano, your exciting destination for thrilling sports betting.
All right, I've got a few seconds before I bring you the news updates. I'm going to run quickly with the messages, the leftover messages. Hello, Canada, it is me again. All this patchy government is doing will not work and will never work. No local crude oil refining, no industrial agriculture. How can the country work. In short, I think even the government is now confused. Ibiba, fine man. Ibiba, thank you very much. This one says pronouncement of 35,000 naira for only federal workers is a huge disservice to Nigerians. National Labour leadership should immediately press federal government to make it across board for both federal and state workers, including staff of local governments. Let the strike stand until the needful is done. Victor from Agwanwor. As I said, in my opinion, I think Labour is not fighting for the interests of the masses. They are easily aligned with the government. I already said that Labour, in their usual manner, will compromise again. Are they sheeting their sword? Are they sheeting their sword that the cost of living has come down, or that people are not living the good life in Nigeria? Let them do as they like. We won't carry arms. We won't revolt or rebel against the government of the day. We will continue to remain civil. But those in positions of authority should know that all of us will someday give account to God Almighty. She's alive from Roma Christi Pipeline. I've got to go. It's time for the news update. It's 5 o'clock. Just stay tuned.